When I covered the Call of Duty 4 remaster on Steam Deck, I thought back to when that game initially released. Many people really didn't like the game it was bundled to, Call of Duty's science fiction entry, and there were a lot of different reasons, mostly with the multiplayer and its lack of cheat security. But I had a blast with its campaign back on the PS4, and to be perfectly honest, the fact that it was sci-fi in space was the main reason I even bought it. So today let's dive into the game that still had the guns and sights gameplay of Call of Duty, but with jetpacks, space battles, and lots of wall running. Here is how I've gotten Call of Duty Infinite Warfare to run on the original Steam Deck. Let's start with a bit of a summary. Infinite Warfare is pretty much the only space science fiction entry in the Call of Duty franchise. A lot of the mechanics felt the same as before with gunplay, and a lot of the guns still had you shooting lead bullets at other people, but throwing it together into a space setting that had spaceships, robots, and some really incredible visual set pieces. Now let's dive into the Steam Deck. It runs plenty well when you have it on Linux, at least for the first couple of missions. But you can do better with Proton, at least a specific version of it. My initial Proton test was with Proton 7-13, and that was really bad. But Proton Experimental helps it work just fine. Anyways, the first thing we need to talk about is campaign and multiplayer. Sadly, I don't have any information about the normal multiplayer of this game. I've never been able to find a team deathmatch game in Infinite Warfare on Steam. Zombies, on the other hand, I do find the occasional match. So we will dive into performance of the zombies in Spaceland mode. But back on track. As far as settings go, the game will default you with everything up pretty high. But you're going to want to do the same thing we did in the remaster of 4. Go straight into shadow options and turn it all down as low as it can go. Sadly, you can't turn shadows off completely, but I turned resolution and caster down to normal, particle lighting to low, and everything else off, especially spot shadows and sun shadows. Even the game itself will tell you those settings use a lot of video memory. So what does this do? A whole lot, actually. Before I disabled all the shadow and lighting options, the SDF attack on Earth was getting me a lot of drops into the 50s, 40s, and occasionally the 30s. But afterwards, and with textures down to medium and low, I got 60 FPS for probably 98-99% of the game. Some areas will still stutter down to 58 for a moment or two, but it does well to keep that frame rate up at 60. This stays in both ground missions, space battles, and pretty much everything you can do. It plays fantastic, and this goes into the multiplayer as well. Earlier, I did say I was never able to find a typical multiplayer match, but I have found matches in the Zombies mode, and Spaceland plays fantastic. Same settings as campaign, and I don't think I've ever seen the frame rate drop underneath 60 while doing the zombie mode. And funny enough, this is fantastic in a way. A lot of the complaints about Infinite Warfare came from its multiplayer. It lacked functions that previous games had and had very little cheat protection. But here on the Steam Deck, with such a tiny player base, you can't really do much in multiplayer outside of finding the occasional zombies match. I don't really have anything else to say about performance, so let's talk battery life. Not nearly high as Modern Warfare Remastered, but this is a newer game. Infinite Warfare will get you around 2.5 hours on high brightness and about 3 hours on lower brightness. So, would I recommend this game to Steam Deck users? It's pretty much the same as before. If you want to play the campaign or zombies, absolutely. It looks great and can be made to play an almost perfect 60 FPS as long as you don't care for the extra shadow features. And that's all I have for you today. I'll be back soon with more Steam Deck performance and reviews. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.